Hey there friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I want to do a quick guide on the Coil seasonal activity in Destiny 2 Season of the Wish because there's a lot going on with this one and a bunch of things that are very easy to miss. First off, you can matchmake this activity or have a private option. This allows you to jump in solo, with a duo, whatever you want, up to 3 players, and the multiplicity mod means that combatant difficulty scales with fireteam size. Just keep in mind, if you jump into a match-made version and players leave, it's still going to scale to how many players you went into the activity with. So that's just something to remember. If you're trying to uncover secrets and all of that kind of good stuff, you may want to jump in solo or with a pre-made fire team in order to try to do that without players leaving and the difficulty spiking because of that. There's also a bunch of other modifiers that you're going to want to pay attention to with this activity just to make sure you have the right loadout, because if you proceed through, you can beat the first boss and proceed through a second, third, fourth pathway, and you're going to want the right build to do so, because what happens with the Coil is the farther you go, the higher the power level of the enemies that you face. So you're going to proceed through from one pathway to the next, proceed through the puzzles essentially that you're going to find throughout, and then you're going to defeat the boss room. Once you do that, you will essentially get some rewards, and from there you're going to be able to continue on deeper down, and that's going to allow you to get better rewards at higher difficulties. So keep that in mind. You really want to jump into this with your best build for this Coil activity because of that. There's a lot going on, and if you're jumping in match made thinking it's going to be easy, maybe you just want to do one pathway, that's going to be easy enough. But if you want to proceed on down, if you want to help your teammates explore deeper into the Coil, you're going to need a really good build for that. Now, one thing to remember as you're proceeding in, you're first going to come to a puzzle activity, which is going to have a couple different variety of options. There's going to be either traps on the ground, you're going to have fading darkness, which will make the screen go black, something like that. You're going to want to proceed forward and shoot a bunch of the urns, which are going to drop wishing glass. This wishing glass is used at the end in order to upgrade your dragon's gifts, but also once you get certain scores with your wishing glass, you're going to be able to get some secret chests as well. Just remember, once you see the little notification that a secret chest is available, don't proceed forward to the boss. You're going to want to find those chests first and then proceed on, because once you go into the boss room, it's going to pull your entire fire team forward, and that's going to mean that they're going to miss out on the opportunity to get the secret chest. So make sure everyone gets it, and that's something, especially if you're playing with randoms in the match-made mode, you're going to have to be really conscious of that, so that way you're not costing your teammates options and potential loot. So that's something that I think a lot of people are missing so far, and has been my biggest frustration with the match-made part of that, but it's to be expected. Everyone isn't fully aware of what's going on with the activity quite yet. So it's going to take some time for everyone to fully lock in to understanding that there are secret chests available that you can get that actually drop weapons and stuff like that. So it's definitely important. Another thing to remember, there's a limited number of revives with this mode. It starts off with a lot of revives, so you feel like you're okay, but as you proceed down and the difficulty gets harder, you come to realize that wasting lives is going to be a problem once you get into the harder pathways that you're facing. So you're going to want to be aware of traps, make sure you don't die to cheap things, because that can happen, falling off the map or something like that, because those wasted lives can definitely come back to haunt you if you are down in the third or fourth pathway trying to take on very, very difficult enemies. It feels almost like a Grandmaster Nightfall at a certain point because of how much the power difference is at this point in the season especially. So that's something to remember as well. Don't waste lives. Be very cautious about costing your team lives, unless you're just going through one pathway and then getting out of there. Then it doesn't really matter. You have plenty of lives. But if you're looking to go as far as possible, be very cautious with your lives, because every death counts. There's also going to be variety of different enemy types, so you can't really make a build around a certain enemy type. You're going to want to make the best survivability and DPS builds possible. There's not a ton of ads. You're not really going to be overwhelmed by ads at any particular point. From what I experienced, it's more so going to be the bosses and all that stuff that you have to take down. And so you're going to want to have a GM like build, but without worrying about champions. So that's another nice thing. There is no champions in this activity, so it's just escalating difficulty without champions, which is really, really nice. And overall, this is a activity that I very much enjoy. I think they've done a very good job of putting this together and having that escalating difficulty. I do wish, like a lot of other people, that this would last forever. Like you could just continue going and it would get harder and harder until you just could not go anymore. Because I'd love to see how far down from the top level of power level to what our Guardians level is, people could go. Like I would love to see what the best Guardian, how far through the coil they could go. And this is a good option to test builds, whether you're jumping in as a solo player. I think it's a good way to test solo builds. You can test out your fire team builds, how you work in conjunction. Maybe you have a build that really focuses on keeping your allies alive. I think all of that is very, very important for an activity like this, and it's one of the best activities that I think they've made in quite some time. And I hope this is more of the future of the activities that we get. I know we've gotten in the past those 6v6 modes and stuff like that. Those don't really do it, I think, for anybody. They're pretty easy unless you throw some twists in there. But this is the type of mode that I think a lot of people could really jump into and have a very, very good time for. One thing I almost forgot to mention is the Dragon's Gift. While you are proceeding through from maybe pathway 1 to pathway 3, you're going to want to save some of your wishing glass in order to get the tier 3 of the Dragon's Gifts, because those are going to be much, much better, and you run out of the wishing glass pretty quickly if you don't collect all of it. So just something to keep in mind. But other than that, I think this is a mode that I'm very much going to enjoy. I'm going to test a bunch of different builds in and see how it all shapes out, how much I'm able to delve deep, whether it's solo or with a match-made team. I'd love to help random people come through this activity and also get all the various rewards that are available within it. But let me know if I missed anything, if there's anything you would like to add to this guide for the Coil activity. I know it's not a raid or a dungeon, but it does feel like an activity that a lot more people would benefit from having this information. So I want to share this with as many people as possible. So definitely like, subscribe, share this with a friend, all that kind of good stuff you would normally do on a video in order to spread the word on the Coil activity and help people kind of understand exactly what's going on. My name is Jopa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do all that stuff. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.